Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today from wherever you are joining from. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is the most awaited session. Recently, everything is buzzing around about Microsoft LCS and how the things are going to shift from LCS to the Power Platform Admin Center. So I won't take a long. I will quickly hand over to one and only Lane from Microsoft and our one and only champion and the guru, I would say, Orion, the Microsoft Business Application MVP. So over to you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes. So yeah, hello everyone. Nice to meet you, everyone. And yeah, I'm Aurélien Clerc, so French first name. I'm living in Paris. So I'm working on Dynamics for 15 years, yeah, so 2010, sorry, in Dynamics world. And yeah, I'm MVP for 5 years now. And I'm working on the unified experience since the private preview for almost 3 years. I don't remember when all started this journey. And yeah, happy to be here to present with Lane.
Yeah, thanks. And hi, everyone. Good morning from Seattle. My name is Lane Swenka, and I'm a principal program manager on the Power Apps team now called Intelligent Applications. If you want the unintelligent applications, that's a different team. But I'm excited to talk about all of the things related to LCS and F&O kind of management and the move to Power Platform. So with that, we'll get right into it. So we wanted to first off, kind of talk about what have we discussed publicly prior to this session, and then we'll kind of deep dive into our content for today. So this, as Aurélien mentioned, has been definitely a journey, as we say, which a journey at Microsoft could be something that spans 2 semesters, which is April to October, October to the next April. So maybe a year's worth of time, because in that time, Microsoft will change departments and things will shift around, resources will move. For us, this is going on year 5. So we've been working on this essentially since 2020. And it's really been a lot of re-architecture and rethinking of what do we want the management of ERP applications to look like for the next 5 to 10 years, if not longer. And so we've spent a lot of time really just questioning, do we really want to recreate what we have in LCS, or do we want to move on to something fresh, more native to Dataverse and so forth? And so we went with the latter option. And in 2000, I think it was 2023, we shipped the unified trial experience. And so that initially had 3 different kinds of project operations trials that you could spin up. Now we've included finance, supply chain, and commerce. So essentially all of the F&O suite, you can actually go today and create a trial environment that is only going to show up in Power Platform Admin Center. It is based on Dataverse. F&O is an application in that context. Dual write and virtual entities, all of those technologies are automatically turned on and connected. And you're ready to start, creating agents and doing fun things on top of these trials. They last 30 days, and you can extend them twice, actually, to 90 days. They do not support development, though. That is by design, as we don't want to give our X++ and business logic away for free. So, but after that, we then launched the Unified Developer Story, which Aurélien will deep dive into next. And then after that, what we're going to cover in this session from my side is more on the Unified Sandbox experience, and then how do we get to production and all new customers going to PPAC. So we're excited to deep dive into this. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Aurélien to deep dive into UDE.
Yeah, thank you, Lane. So yeah, UDE has been a good journey also. My side, my point of view is, yeah, of course, it's been great. In fact, my side, as an example, well, I'm always an early adopter, so maybe I'm not the good example, but I love to try it before everyone will do it yourself. But yeah, my side, I'm working on an implementation partner, maybe like a lot of people here, and yeah, we have switched all our customers to the UD thing, I would say. And yeah, all my developer team works only on UD right now, and yeah, it's been great because I have a good example. Last week, my two developers were in holidays, and I had to develop again. And I hopefully I had a Visual Studio in my laptop, and it was possible for me in a few minutes to connect and correct ship a hotfix very quickly without connecting to a cloud hosted environment like before. So yeah, it's even when you don't do a lot of development every day, it's good to to be able to connect easily and fast to do development or debug in a development environment. So UD has been in GA since June 2024. So yeah, almost a year ago, 1 year ago, UD is in GA. Of course, since then, yeah, of course, Microsoft have developed a lot of improvement. Like Lane said, it's a long journey. So of course, everything new needs some enhancement, of course, during. But I think we have a lot of good community, even in the Viva Engage or YAML group, with the product group team, to try to give feedbacks. And yeah, I think they are still growing, still working on it to improve and do some quality updates on it. But I pick some improvements among, like, of course, connecting remotely to the AXDB, the famous database of AX, which, of course, when you do a new development, you need at some point maybe to connect remotely to the database because, of course, if you don't know that, but when you are developing with a UDE, you are doing it in your own laptop. So at some point, you will upload all your changes, but all things are in the cloud. So you need at some point, like a tier 2 instance, to connect with a just-in-time access from your laptop. So now we have access to it. Now, finally, which was not possible before, even during the private preview, is everything will be set up automatically for you in the Visual Studio 2022. So every time we will connect from your Visual Studio to the Dataverse, it will download all the metadata, all the source code of Microsoft, which is, as you know, in X++ we have millions of code. So it takes some time. So it's a zip file and it will be unzipped to your laptop. The main very good part of it is finally we can switch easily from one version to another. If you were working a lot with cloud hosted environment, it was a fixed version. Now you can have a 10.042, 43, 44, and if you want to retry with another version, you can compile with the right version you want. So at some point, I will always recommend to clean up because it takes some space on your disk, on your laptop. But yeah, it's a good point. Back then, of course, since now we are still using both Portal, so LCS and PPAC, before it was necessary to convert your deployable package to a unified deployable package for the DevOps part. Now it's always done automatically. Whenever you do any release into LCS, this package will be converted so that every time you will copy your database from prod to your UDE, you don't need to do extra steps. It's done always automatically by Microsoft. So this point is very, 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 very important for me. Whenever I was using back then, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever I had a new customer or new developer joining my team, I had to create a cloud hosted and start, so wait a lot. In Azure, you have to wait maybe 6 hours, even 10, before your VM was running. And anytime you need to have the database on it, you had to copy first your prod to Sandbox, then do a backup of it, then dump it, the backpack, into your own laptop, upload it to the cloud hosted, and restore the SQL package on it. So you had to wait 1 day or 2 before a developer can really start to work. With that, of course, a copy is just one click button in PPAC, and you had to just wait 1 hour, and you are ready to go. And with that, another enhancement, which is quite great also, because sometimes the developers don't really need all the whole database. So that now you have the less transaction copy in PPAC, so that you can just copy all the master data, maybe not all the transactional data on it. Okay, because of course, whenever a developer sometimes just needs the vendor, the customer, the master data, but they don't need to have all the financial transaction from 3 years ago on it. So it will reduce a lot the size, because I guess Lane will talk about the storage part, which is always a hot topic as usual for UDE, for Unified Experience as general. Of course, now you can create a UDE with the right version you want at first. So before it was not possible. It was not possible to pick the version you want when you deploy your UDE, and you can apply the service update. So every time there is a new release, even proactive quality update, you can apply it to to UDE. Of course, just for information, whenever there is a new release like the 10.044 2 weeks ago, the PPAC release station is not the same time, in the time frame is not exactly the same as LCS right now. So sometimes you need to wait a little bit between the release on the LCS and PPAC. You can have the backup, the restore, point in time restore, etc. And yeah, as explained before, a lot of optimization and performance. And one thing which is quite important for the developer is always the debug part, which for me is even faster in my own laptop than the cloud hosted environment I had before. So yeah. So I will encourage a lot for you to try it if you don't have done it before or try it before. Yeah. So I can just quickly, oh no, sorry, yeah, thank you, Lane. I have just one slide before going to my quick demonstration. So I pick some kind of advantages or pros and cons between, of course, the old-fashioned way, I would say. But I know that there's still a lot of people use, again, still the cloud hosted part. But I pick I highlighted some points, factors, including, of course, as you know, a lot of AI stuff, Copilot we have right now. So capabilities, of course, you can't do it with a cloud hosted right now. So it's only possible into UDE. So, if you develop anything like X++ plugin for Copilot Studio, it's only possible to UDE. You can, of course, have your own device, which for me is very important because even for the security part, because as you know, maybe or not, but whenever you deploy a cloud hosted, it's always open bar, I would say, in terms of firewall. Of course, you can apply some security, but it's a VM, it's a IaaS service, so you need to securize a lot this part, which for your security team it's even easier to securize your own laptops rather with Intune or rather than cloud hosting into Azure. You can run any unit testing. So, of course, normally, whenever you do any development, you should always create unit tests, right, into your code. So with that, with UDE, you can set up a UDE like a validation UDE, so that every time you do any DevOps pipeline, you can run all your unit testing into a target UDE, which is always here just to run unit tests. And if it's good, then you can deploy to the target environment. You can deploy UDE via as DevOps pipelines. My colleague Yusra in my team had just launched a blog post last week with YAML, with DevOps, with Power Platform. So now you can automate, I would say, which is my part I love globally is always try. I'm quite a lazy guy, so I don't want to spend a lot of time just to click button to deploy an environment. So with that, of course, with UDE, you are in PPAC world. So Lane will explain a lot, but Microsoft pushed a lot about PPAC, about API, about automation. So of course, with that, it's a Dataverse behind the scenes, so you can automate the deployment of UDE, even create it in the right way you want, with the right name, the right environment name, the right standardization name you want, etc. So it's very good part. And as I explained before, you can have multiple runtime version on your own laptop and faster debugging. And you have a lot of things more than just this table, but yeah, it's just an highlight of what for me, it's important to know if we compare the two. I have just a very quick demonstration for UDE. Okay, so I can share it after. If you don't know my blog, which is my blog post on UDE, I explained a lot. It's a very, very, very long one, as usual with me. But normally I know that a lot of people try to read it. I will also try to update it during summer holidays. Because there is a lot of new things coming up that Lane will explain after. But of course, you have several ways, I would say, to deploy UDE into your PPAC environment is through PowerShell, as explained before. It's using PAC CLI behind the scene. So it's exactly what I explained before. So everything that you see in Power Platform UI layout is always, normally, not always, but very often available into PAC CLI into PowerShell. So like creating an environment, you can do it through PowerShell via the framework, via the library, which is PAC CLI. So I will encourage any people working on FNO World for a long time to try to learn PAC CLI, because since you will go at some point into the PPAC world, you will use as an admin a lot PAC CLI to try to automate as much as possible any deployment. So you can deploy it through PowerShell, and which is not documented right now, is if you want an environment in which you want to deploy preview version, you need to put this kind of parameter at the end. This parameter will say that this Dataverse is an early cycle stage, which is another station on PPAC, and so that you can deploy any. So when 10.045 will be in preview, so I guess it's end of July normally, it will be possible to deploy it this version into your UDE if you want to try the 10.045 into UDE, and if of course you have enough storage into your PPAC. But another way to deploy, again, I will copy paste my blog post, the URL of the blog post if you want to learn more. But if you want, I want just to highlight some points. So I created a Dataverse before, just before this session, into my tenant. And so very important is you can deploy UDE through UI, in fact. So Lane will cover more the unified sandbox environment after, but UD, Unified Developer Environment, is of course to do development. And you can deploy it through UI, because you can create, I would say, I will create just for you. So I can create, you can put a name, of course. I will also highlight a lot this point is I will suggest more creating and starting to create your Dataverse into managed environment into Dataverse, because this will unblock a lot of new features coming into PPAC, like monitoring, like environment group, like governance, like allocation capacity, like a lot of new security stuff, etc. So a lot of new things coming to PPAC is, I would not say always, but a lot often linked to a fact that you need to put your Dataverse as a managed environment. So I don't have time to cover all features that are part of managed environment, but myself, I always, as you can see, all my previous environment are in managed mode. And I can pick a group of Dataverse here, a group environment, which is great because if you were working a lot on LCS before, you know that if you were part of a global tenant, which had a lot of LCS projects, it could be a good replacement, I would say, or a link. If I would say that every time you have a LCS project ID, you can create a group of Dataverse for each deployment, each production you have, and all Dataverse to make it more easier for the governance part. Okay. So that the get new features early is, as explained before, is here where is the parameter first release I explained before. Okay, in order to say I want to deploy at some point maybe preview version on it. I can pick Sandbox because UD is like Unified Sandbox Environment. It's a sandbox type in PPAC, okay? Don't pick developer, okay? If you pick developer, you can't install any Dynamics app, including CE application and ERP. So it's just to do Power Platform stuff only. And you can deploy, so select Sandbox. I don't have enough storage anymore in my tenant, so I will pick a pay-as-you-go mod right now just to unblock me, okay? I click Next. So you pick, which I like a lot, this part is to use the UI, because here you can select the right language you want, the default language that you can't change afterwards, okay? So be careful of that, including the currency. I can pick the security group and maybe put the right URL you want. I have a lot of questions on this part. Is if you don't do that, by default, you will have a org 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, like a random URL generated for you. And very important, I just say I want maybe at some point to enable Dynamics app, okay? Then I click Save, and it will create, in fact, a blank dataverse, an empty dataverse. And in this empty dataverse, afterwards, I would say, now I want to activate the FNO deployment part, okay? So I have another one already created for you, just to do it quickly and not to wait. But as you will see, maybe the environment will be created. It's still in preparing, but normally in 1 minute, the dataverse will be ready to go. And if I go to the other one that has been created before, the only thing I have deployed also is the Visual Studio, the Power Platform tools. So you need first to install this one, okay, into the Dynamics app. Then after I can say, I'm ready. I want to have the provisioning app. And when I click next, I will be redirected to say I want the 10.044, I want to be a developer environment or not, I want the demo database on it, the Contoso demo database, etc. So it's another option, which maybe is not quite well known, because I know that a lot of people back then, when UD was launched, deployed a lot through PowerShell, but right now you can deploy through UI. You need to wait a little. I hope I will not have the demo failure, but at some point it will load, I guess. Maybe I can try. Or you can also do it through the tenant-wide level, not through the environment. So if you go to Manage Dynamics App, I have the provisioning app. So select a random one. It's by design by Microsoft, okay? So you pick random one on the list, go to Manage. Normally I need after to select the environment I want, and normally it should load. Yes, it's better. So my side, as you have seen, I'm trying more. I'm using more the tenant-wide level rather than going through the environment. As you have seen, it's a little faster without less bug, I would say. And here when I say I want a UDE, or if I don't pick it, then Lane will explain after, it will create a USE, so Unified Sandbox Environment. So this checkbox is very important. And if you go to my blog post, this is where I said dev tools enable equal a true, okay? Equals true, sorry, French speaking. And the demo data enable equals true is this checkbox I have here, okay? So here I can say I want developer tools, I want the Contoso database, and here I want the 10.044, okay? And I click install, I just wait 1 hour, around 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, maybe 2, but maximum 2 hours, I would say. And after you are ready to go, you go to your Visual Studio like me in your own laptop, you install, the Power Platform extension in order to connect to the dataverse, the one I have created before. Again, you will download, as explained before, all the metadata version of Microsoft, so all the source code of Microsoft. Then you connect to your own DevOps, where you have your source code for your customer. And that's it. You are ready to go. You will have multiple maybe configuration, X++ configuration into your own laptop. So as explained before, if you are working on an implementation partner, it's very great because here I can very easily switch from customer A, B, C, D, E. Well, normally I hope you don't work for 10 customers at the same day, but if you need to switch a lot, it's very easy because it's here when I can say, I'm working for this customer on this version. The source code for this customer is here in my laptop, and the source code of Microsoft, so the version of Microsoft, is here. Okay. So as explained before, here in my own laptop, I have the 10.044, 3, and 2. 42. So I have 3 versions here in my own laptop. So that, as explained before, I can very easily switch to one version to another. And after exactly the same thing as before, you need to do development. So of course, you still need to do and explain and learn X++. This part don't change, of course. It's the same thing as before. And when you are ready to go, you can deploy by your development through, you have multiple options. So here in your Visual Studio project, you have new things here. You have deploy changes to online environment. So every time I will build my project, there is an incremental update, and it will deploy it through to the cloud, of course, because as explained before, all things are in the cloud. So AOS, SQL database are in the cloud. So when you will build first your X++ project, it will build on your own laptop. Okay. So of course, when it's built, you need to upload it. But it's exactly the same pattern as EE CRM people when they were building plugin in C#.NET. Okay. So they were doing it into their own laptop, and they had to deploy it at some point. Okay. So, or you have another option is here you can have the deploy models to online environment. Okay. To deploy it into your cloud UDE. And that's it. That was my quick demonstration. So it's your turn, Lane, because otherwise I guess we'll not have a lot. I can't talk a lot, so I need to.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aurelian, for the deep dive on the UDE. Lots of great questions in the chat around folks trying to deploy UDE in various clouds. I saw some questions on GCC High, which is our second tier for government cloud. Saw some questions around a couple of known issues around deploying the environment and still getting demo data, I believe. Even if you said, I don't want demo data. So definitely a couple of things that I will follow up on and get back to this group just to be more 100% confident on the answers. And also, I think lots of questions on when can we deploy production. I'm going live soon. I'm starting a new implementation project. When should I be going to LCS? When should I be going to PPAC? So we'll deep dive into some of the Sandbox and production and have the timeline here as well. So that's a great segue into, what is coming next. We focused on trials, then we had the developer experience, and we wanted to get that not only to GA, but as shown, we've made a lot of improvements since GA based on feedback. And why was developer environment before UAT and production? Well, 99% of every customer that we've seen customizes their system. And so we really wanted to get that developer experience nailed down. Plus, just kind of a fun fact, all F&O development done at Microsoft is done on UDEs now, 100%. So that same experience, we wanted to make it better for ourselves as well as we build the product and ship it. So every F&O engineer across finance, supply chain, projects, commerce, and so forth is using UDEs as well. We wanted to celebrate, maybe the life and the death of LCS as part of this talk. I asked Copilot to create this image based on this phrase, and this is what we got. I don't know if I totally love this picture. I also asked it to be a little bit more inclusive. and then it put everybody's head inside of the coffin, which wasn't what I wanted either. So anyways, we'll let the GPT models improve on their image generation capabilities. But LCS is not quite gone, but we are definitely in transition to Power Platform Admin Center. And as you may have heard in other talks that I've done, I typically show this slide towards the beginning. But again, as we mentally shift from the LCS way, where F&O is a whole environment in and of itself, and all of the tooling, the project management is solely for F&O. Now we're moving into a broader ecosystem with Power Platform. F&O is not a whole environment of itself anymore. It's but one application that's installed inside of an environment. And so, one Dataverse-based environment can have dynamic sales, field service, and F&O installed into the same environment, and they'll all share the same data. They'll all be connected together. They'll all have the same life cycle. So as you copy, backup, restore, or delete that environment, all of those apps go together with it. And of course, now, hundreds of apps, flows, co-pilots, right? They're all connected into that same environment and the same environment lifecycle. One thing I will say too, some of the tools in PPAC or Power Platform Admin Center have been a little bit light from an enterprise perspective. It's a lot more focus historically on low code scenarios like building Canvas apps, model-driven apps, and flows. So, we've had a lot of practice, let's say, with enterprise scenarios, making sure that you sign off on code before it goes to production. And project management in general, right? Like having milestones and being ready to deploy. So these are learnings that we've had with LCS and F&O for years that we're taking that to the platform and building it more generically across the space. So you'll start to see things like project management lighting up in PPAC, and that's directly because of the investments from F&O and LCS team. But we're not limiting it just to F&O. We may start with that, but we're trying to make it, generic so that dynamic sales could make use of it, or even low-code customers can make use of those things as well. And last but certainly not least, APIs, connectors, CLI. This has been a huge ask on the LCS team for many years. We need to automate. We're an automation-focused business. We don't want to be in the portal saying, deploy to production at midnight or 2 in the morning on a Saturday. I'd rather be sleeping at that time, which I think most people would. So, and again, with automation, you get more of a reliable output, right? There's no human mistakes if somebody's, not fully awake and clicking the wrong button versus it's the same process again and again. What I will say is Power Platform has a rich set of a rich ecosystem of APIs and capabilities. And that's actually an area that I manage as well. So the Power Platform API is something new that we are pushing all of the teams within Power Platform Admin Center to onboard their capabilities so that everything you see and everything that you can do in the Admin Center, you could automate totally. So everything, from a get to a list to an update type action, we want to have all of that available on Power Platform API, which we then monthly auto-generate tools on top of, like the Power Platform Admin V2 connector, which is quite a name. I don't know why we're so terrible at naming things at Microsoft, but we are. So this admin V2 connector is available both in Flow as well as Logic Apps, as well as Copilot, right? So you could create a Copilot to do your deployments, and you could talk to it and say, hey, how many sandboxes do I have in Europe? What version of this are they running? I would like to update to the next version, and it will loop through and do the things that you want it to do. So some really cool experiences there. It's also available in Logic Apps, so you can use Azure and more pro code tools to do automation there as well. And then at Build in May, very last week of May, we launched a .NET SDK as well. So for those who are like, no, Visual Studio is the way you do things, you can now use our Power Platform Management SDK, which is available for C# to do everything that you can do on that V2 connector. So again, it's the same REST API under the hood, the same Swagger file that defines it, and then we're just using that as an input to generate tools. where we're going next with all of this automation capabilities, we're then going to put it inside of PAC CLI. So, and again, everything you can see and do in the admin center, you can use PAC CLI if you prefer to use that. And then we're going to start shipping every other language we can think of to kind of be at parity with Azure SDK. So things like Java, Go, Python, TypeScript. We just want to have full parity in terms of language support so that you can use the language you prefer. We know that Copilot likes Python as well, so you'll get a lot of examples. If you don't specify a language, it's going to give it to you in Python. So we want to meet Copilot where it is. And so forth. So again, lots of automation capabilities for the engineers in the house to help your IT and admin team become more efficient and effective there. So that was just kind of broadly Power Platform and some of the benefits that we're getting as part of this transition. One of the other things that we've been working with in terms of sandboxes, as Aurelian mentioned, when you create one of these environments in the admin center, if you just click the new button here and say enable D365 and you choose one of the apps. So in this screenshot, we've got finance selected. You could have chosen supply chain, and this is all just based on the licenses you purchased. So if you have supply chain license, you could see the supply chain environment template. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a sandbox that is not wired up for development. So in our current LCS terminology, that would mean a tier 2, which, as we know, is kind of the baseline. It's the entry-level sandbox that you get. It has 2 AOSs, right? And so how do we get more performance in Power Platform? Because we're not looking to sell the tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, and so forth anymore. So Dataverse does not have performance tiers that you can buy. So how does Dataverse work? And then how are we envisioning that for FNO? So the way that Dataverse works for the other Dynamics apps as well as Power Apps is they have this thing called entitlements. So when you buy a license, you get these kind of currencies or entitlements. The one that we most often talk about is called storage. You get gigabytes, and those gigabytes allow you to deploy new environments, right? So as long as you have 1 gigabyte available, you can create a whole new UDE. But you also get this thing called Power Platform Requests, or PPR, you may hear it referred to as. And these are less commonly talked about, but they influence your compute. How many servers behind the scenes do we use to host a given Dataverse environment? And for a given customer, so one tenant who has purchased licenses, we sum all of the Power Platform requests up. So every Dynamics license you purchased, every Power Apps license you purchased, every Power Automate, all of those things give you these PPRs. We sum them up at your tenant, and then that is a formula that tells us, okay, for every new environment you create, whether it's Sandbox, whether it's production, we don't care, you get 10 servers powering each and every environment. So every environment for a given customer is equal or has equal potential, we'll put it that way. So if you used all of your environments consistently and equally at the same time, they would all deploy up to 10 servers to power your workloads. And when I talk to other customers, like individually, they're usually like, wow, that sounds really expensive for Microsoft. Sounds great for us, but sounds really expensive for Microsoft. Like, what's the catch? And in all transparency, the catch is storage. You have to pay for every gigabyte you consume, and the number of gigabytes you have determines how many environments you can have, right? So there is some kind of like mechanics there and a little bit of a formula that needs to be worked out. So, but this is our plan for FNO. So as long as you have enough storage to create another environment, it will get the same number of AOSs as production, even if it's a sandbox. And that's because we allow you to convert sandboxes to production for go live. And so really we want all of your UAT, all of your data migration, everything that you do up until you go live to have high degree of confidence. Okay, this is the performance I'm going to get when I go live. Production is not going to be any different. So it gives you a high degree of confidence in your early implementation lifecycle. And it also allows you to burst. So there could be seasonality, right? I need to increase the performance of my environment for 3 months, but I don't want to buy something that's going to be locked into an EA for the whole year or something like that. So you can actually buy Power Platform requests outside of user licenses. That's just something a la carte that you can purchase month by month. And it's going to boost all of your environments. We have had feedback that, hey, we'd like to allocate this more targeted to one environment, and is there a way to do that? Right now, there isn't for Dataverse, and so there isn't in our plan for FNO, but it's something that we can definitely take a look at. Generally speaking, this whole effort is called Elastic Compute, or TierX is what we're thinking about calling it externally. So there won't be tier 2, 3, 4, 5. There's just tier X, right? It's totally elastic based on the number of licenses you have, the number of Power Platform requests you purchased. And we will be putting the formula on docs because we know transparency in that formula is critical. Because the first question, if you're not getting the performance you want, is, well, what do I have to buy to get the performance I want? I need 2 more AOSs, right? I've determined that. What's the mechanics to get 2 more AOSs, right? So and it scales out, and then when you're not using the environment, it scales back in. So we scale everything back in with no use down to 2 AOSs. And then as you use it again, it starts to scale back out. So production environments typically run pretty steady, and so they don't scale in very often. And this is true even in LCS today for production environments. But this will also now be available for sandboxes in PPAC. And so my engineering team is actually just finishing up this work, and I'm excited to test it. We just opened a private preview program at Dynamics Minds a couple of weeks back, and so I am excited to extend that private preview to you all here in the Pakistan user group. So if you would like to try this out, feel free to take a screenshot or open up the QR code. I will also drop just the direct link into the chat after this. But again, we're excited to get some feedback. Is the compute scaling out correctly? We also want to make it transparent in terms of this is what you purchase, so this is what you get. And then if you want to buy more, you can certainly buy more. This is a critical piece for us to get figured out so that we can support production. And so really all the things that I'm going to cover here in our talk today are the remaining pieces we're working on to get production support and have new customers come to PPAC. So, all right. With that, another, as I mentioned earlier, critical gap is project management. So we've always had kind of this grouping of environments in LCS where you've got one production environment, a couple of sandboxes, maybe in your cloud hosted environments, and it's all grouped into what's called a project. And you work with your partner, you work with Fast Track team to get access to production. It's going to work a little bit differently in Power Platform. But there is something that we're looking to implement when we're ready called intelligent routing. So for when we have production support, we're going to stop allowing new tenants to go to LCS. So this will happen both for new tenants, so somebody we've never seen log into LCS before, as well as those folks who are already in LCS, but you're now looking to create a new implementation project. So you've already gone live with one project. Now you were going to start another project. We will eventually have this pop up that says, "Hey, we'd like to direct you over to Power Platform." There are a couple of scenarios we don't support yet, like AX 2012 upgrade and anybody using the local business data or FNO on premise. Moving that to the cloud, that's a separate effort. We'll still have those through LCS for a period of time, but for most new implementations, we'll try and route folks to Power Platform. And as Aurelia mentioned earlier, there's this concept called environment groups. And we're really excited about this because we think it aligns more naturally to projects, but is also a lot more flexible. So I've created a couple of environment groups in my tenant here for different Dynamics projects. And I've got a Dynamics 365 North America implementation project, and I've got some environments in there. And on the rules tab, this is where you can set configurations, environment settings, different governance policies, and they apply equally to all the environments in the group. So it's a great way to just say, hey, I'm going to set my settings once, and it applies at scale across my tenant or across my group. And so we're looking to have a Dynamics 365 implementation rule. And this is going to allow you to essentially convert your group into a project in the implementation portal to get essentially fast track support. So all of the go live readiness, risk reviews, and so forth, best practices, telemetry based assessments, all of the good things that are in the Dynamics implementation portal today, you'll then get that support by checking this box. And so this is basically how we're building support for PPAC customers. And you'll notice this isn't specific to F&O. We funded it through the F&O effort here, but this would work, of course, for sales and field service and the other Dynamics apps as well. And so with that, once you make your selection there and hit publish, you'll then get a welcome email to get started and go into the implementation portal and start configuring your project. So this is a great way for the IT team to configure the group and check the box, but then the project team, like the business analysts, the project manager, the functional experts can then go to the portal and start configuring, things that they know are going to be in the project that the IT team may not understand or know about. So that's kind of our vision for project management. Wanted to zoom out because I did see some questions earlier on timeline. When can I get production? We know everybody's very much looking forward to that. So the unified Sandbox experience, we're looking to GA that here in August, and that's going to be with the elastic compute that we talked about. So we're going to be very feverishly working on getting feedback on the private preview and then just going straight to GA as quickly as we can. Once we get past that milestone, that's when we start having the routing experience and production support in PPAC. So we're currently targeting October, of course. Dates are dates. They can shift out. They almost never shift in. So at least in my experience. But again, this is really what we're targeting. We're pushing very hard for right now. So you'll notice the migration tooling at the bottom, moving from LCS to PPAC is still TBD. We've had a lot of great conversations across the various platforms within business applications. So the F&O team, the Dataverse team, and my team, which is the PPAC and admin team. And so we actually have some pretty good designs for migration. We also think there's going to be a fairly, let's just say, break out of jail. Like I want to get out of LCS quickly. We think we could probably get it done through environment copies or a flavor of environment copy. And then essentially you can delete your production environment in LCS. So there might be, for those of you who are like, hey, we're live, we've been in LCS, but we just really like the new stuff a lot better. After October, let us know, and we might have some low-hanging fruit that we can do without some of the self-service tooling and buttons and stuff in LCS. So this is our current timeline. Please keep the questions coming in the chat. I do want to touch on license reporting and compliance because I know that's been a big thing recently. And it would be hard to talk about LCS going away when we're adding this new feature. So this is a sneak peek of a brand new license report experience that's in LCS. There's a whole team working on building license reporting and compliance dashboards and so forth in Power Platform. But we know that not everybody's in Power Platform yet or has access to Power Platform. So my team has worked to essentially replicate all of the information using Power Platform API to bring that back into LCS so that at least the same information is made available to you. I know there's a lot of bugs, I think, in the current reports and some of the data like refresh issues, like 72 hours. We're trying to get that more expedient. But anyways, yeah, we're just essentially my team's goal is like, let's democratize the information, make sure you have it at your fingertips and not this, it's hidden in the admin center and I don't have access. So that's coming. This is, again, like a sneak peek. We just built this like a week and a half ago. So you'll see this start to light up. There is a older version of this live now in LCS, but this is kind of our refreshed view of it. We hope it's much more explainable to say, okay, you think I need this license, I don't have that license assigned, and so forth. So we hope it's a much easier to understand report at the end of the day. Okay, we made it to open Q&A section. I think we have like 5-ish minutes
Yes.
if I'm okay, maybe a little more than
Yeah,
5 minutes.
10
So
minutes. Wow.
yeah, I don't know
We
how we
managed
made it this
to
far so
finally
quickly.
to have it to have time to.
Maybe I haven't had enough coffee. I didn't do enough talking, but yeah, I don't know what's the best way. I can take a look at the chat as well, or if folks just want to raise your hand and come off mute. I'm flexible, whatever works for everybody here today. If there are any burning questions. Yes, please, Ahmed.
Hi, Link. I experienced some problem with UDE environment, especially in reporting. In report, SSRS report, there is some functionality are missing. One of them is query SSRS based. Data provider based is working, but for the query based is not working because there is a parameter missing in the config file, one of the config files. Okay, this is mentioned, but it's not fixed until now. The other thing, when I want to delete or unlink a previous one to gain the capacity and like that, it's taking long time with the support, and they don't have a quick path to solve this issue, to delete or unlink, because it's not easy to unlink a previously linked dual right environments. Okay.
Yeah, yep, good
And
points.
and
Yep.
the last one is errors are suppressed, or errors are coming with generic, for especially for reports, coming with generic errors without the real error. When I move my code to the previous VM or cloud hosted environment, it's showing the exact error, especially when generating report, it's giving error, something like that.
Got it. Okay, so it sounds like there's a whole problem space around SSRS development with the UD.
Yeah.
You're saying there's some issues with the query provider approach. And you mentioned a config parameter in, is that a config file on your
Yeah.
laptop as part of the tools? Okay.
Yeah, this config
And
file, it was available in VM, but it's generating every time you open Visual Studio. It's generated in
got it.
documents, yeah, in projects. Yeah.
Okay, got it. I will follow up with the team. I'm not super familiar with that issue, but I think I have seen SSRS pop up in a few threads recently, so I'm sure the team is aware of it, but I'll see if I can get some kind of status and relay it back to Faisal and the team here. And then the other, sorry, your second point was related to capacity and unlinking. I know unlinking in general is not something we want to support, certainly self-service, but it's kind of like if you have a Dynamics sales environment, you cannot uninstall sales from it. Like you pretty much have to delete the environment or do data migration to move the other non-sales tables to something else. So we're really trying to model F&O like an app in that context. So once it's installed, it's kind of there. You can't like just move sales from one environment to another environment. So we can't move F&O from one environment to another. If you delete the whole environment, you should get your capacity back. And so if you're not seeing that, let me know. But I know in general, the link unlink and like moving the links around it's destructive on the integration and the data. Like if any data had been dual written or synced, then it's left behind, right, as you connect to something else. So I would definitely try to not do a bunch of link relink requests. It's like once it's installed, think of it as permanent. And we can work around, moving tables around or recreating a new environment, doing a copy, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback. Any other questions from folks? I know I think it is late for some. Happy to give a few minutes back, but this is your time. So if you have any questions or burning issues, I can't see the chat at the moment, but I'll follow up in the chat as well. Mohammed.
Hi team. Sorry, I joined the session a bit late, so I'm not sure if this is already answered. Can you please confirm if UD support the commerce functionality?
Commerce support for UDE is coming soon. So of
Okay.
course, anything related to HQ you can do today in a UDE. But yes, the commerce team is using UDEs internally, and they're flushing out support for the retail extensions and packaging and so forth. So, and it will
Sure.
all use
Thank
pack
you.
CLI and all of the things that you're used to with the base UDE functionality. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. It's exciting that the questions aren't what is Power Platform and what is UDE, but I'm using these things and I have very targeted questions. So it's great. I really appreciate everybody using the new technologies and making sure they're battle ready. So
I think we have a good feedback about Lane, about App Insight, telemetry, monitoring. I think we have few points right now where we can push some telemetries into App Insight, but yeah, I don't know if you know that, if they will push more new telemetries, because we are kind of limited, I think, right now. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great point. So a lot of the monitoring capabilities from LCS are being replaced by application insights, which is available in every FNO instance now. I think you can use it in LCS, PPAC, Sandbox, UDE. It's available everywhere. But yeah, there's when you go and configure it, there's certain checkboxes today on what kinds of telemetry you want and not a ton of filtering options. There is a team that's looking into these things, and more first-party app teams are uptaking it. So I believe warehousing and supply chain team shipped some targeted scenarios around the warehouse mobile app and I think work order management. Commerce and more teams are onboarding all the time. So the cool thing is that you can instrument your own. So if there's like a critical scenario like ledger posting or production order, like report is finished or some kind of process that you're really wanting to get deeper insight into, you can instrument using custom code to get that insight to see how long is it taking, who's doing it, what detailed errors, where in the process is it failing. And then if we end up shipping it out of the box, you can roll back your customization. But yeah, lots of options there. There will also be, I believe, throttling, batch throttling events, AOS scale in, scale out, so you can see, all of the different infrastructure type things. We're not planning to have like raw CPU and RAM metrics again because you're in a multi-node cluster. So like seeing like direct RAM is probably not even helpful because your process may not have full access to all of that. So, but again, like being able to see, quantitatively, is the system under stress and is it not responding well? That you should be able to detect. So yeah, if you're not using App Insights yet, I would definitely start playing with it because that will be kind of I need deep insights in telemetry. That will be the answer. There is going to be a new monitoring dashboard in PPAC, I think across low code, Dynamics, Dataverse, and so forth. We may find a way to plumb some of the telemetry-based assessments work from the Fast Track or Dynamics implementation portal into PPAC. So you might see some things there too. But for any of the process posting X++ stack, stack traces and stuff, that's going to be in application insights.
Maybe last one, we have seen people asking for, and I have also this question, the AX 2012 migration. I guess we still need LCS, I guess, no, even in the future or
Yeah, so it's a
migration.
great question. Right now, it's plumbed through LCS, and even you get access to a tier 2 in LCS, and you can stream the database into it, right? Or replicate, I should say, and we run the upgrade scripts. We're looking to bring as much of that back on premise as possible. So you can do the database prep on prem, and then we'll find a way to copy that in. So yeah, it's definitely a scenario that we haven't prioritized heavily yet, just with all of the other things on the plate. But if that's the only thing keeping LCS alive, it'll be one of the top priorities for us to get LCS dismantled. Yeah. See one hand.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes, Lynn.
Yes, please go ahead.
The analytics tables eat up a lot of file storage in database. Every time we have to reach out to support engineers to clean up. Is there a self-service option for us to do the cleanup on our own, like for demand planning or the other insights that we use?
Yeah, that's a great question. I saw a thread recently where I think there's an automated cleanup that's coming. Because right now I think it's kind of runaway storage and you have to ask for it to get like purged or truncated or something like that. Yeah, the team's definitely aware of it. I think looking to auto heal, so you don't have to do that. But yes, another option I think too there is having an API that we could make available. So then you could just wire up Pack CLI, give it your environment ID, and say, demand planning purge or something like that. So or reset or whatever the command is. So yeah, definitely something we'll take a look at, and I'll get back to this group.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
I think with that, we've made
Thank
it
you,
at
everyone.
time. Thank you for having us. Really
Yes.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lane and Oriel, for your time. And thank you for everyone joining us today.
See you.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good day.